Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Megaman Rocket Force. In the last part we ended up by saving Cutman from Circuit Man, and technically next in the weakness chain is Shockman. However, I'm saving the two Robot Masters on the left for last for a reason that'll become clear by the end of the part. So if we're actually going to be breaking the weakness chain and heading after my normal last Robot Master, Photonman. Now, I also realized at the end of the last part I missed Circuit Man's bio, so let's go over that really quickly. Circuit Man is one of the earliest Robot Masters created outside of Light Labs, and has worked for many years in a circuit manufacturing plant. His workplace creates many circuits intended for a series of larger machines, but recently these machines have begun going out of style. Circuit Man now fears that he may be scrapped soon once the demand for his specialty circuits completely diminishes. Despite his power to manufacture, lift, and destroy circuit, his older design is somewhat crude and exposing, making even minor electromagnetism a threat to his well-being, hence his weakness to Pulseman's weapon. Meanwhile, Photonman is essentially a walking solar battery tasked with providing emergency power to facilities that require it. If not out on duty, Photonman can be found overseeing the functions of his solar power plant, a personal project he constructed in his passion for clean energy. While handling solar power is his expertise, he's also expressed interest in studying other forms of renewable clean energy, though is somewhat displeased that he was built for only one energy type. Still, he is very particular about his solar panels, as extreme concussive force can easily shatter them, which shouts out to his weakness, which is Fuseman's weapon. Or Boomman's weapon. I'll go over that name change later this part. Now, this stage is probably one of the most annoying for a first-time run, because these sunflower enemies can be deceptively hard to dodge. I don't know exactly what it is about them, but they just really are. The best way to take him out is to do a charge shot and then one pellet at the flower part of the sunflower and then destroy the stem, because then you avoid all damage in total. Oh, also, Cutman. He controls very similarly to how he was in Powered Up. Firing normally just throws his boomerang cutter forwards and then returns. Holding up in fire causes it to do a loop similar to how the special weapon works in Mega Man 1 and the similar weapon in X1. Holding down and firing throws the boomerang directly onto the ground, where it will then travel forward and backwards if it hits a wall, hitting anything in his pathway. And similarly to Powered Up, he has a wall jump, where you go hold against the wall and press jump. However, it works like the one in Powered Up and in Metroid Fusion, where you bounce off at a semi-set angle, so it's kind of awkward to jump to keep yourself safe with. And for the sake of those who are trying to do a Robot Master run, Cutman is the weakness of Pulseman. And I'm just going to do some brief farming right there just because I like having my health up for what's coming up. Now, I'm going to be real with you. I almost always go Crypt Man first, or at least I always have Crypt Cloak by this point, so I don't know what's up that ladder. I'm assuming it's just another room that leads back down to here, but here we find the second gimmick, solar energy. You fill up a bar in the background by using the platform that's directly above you to make platforms appear. The energy doesn't stay there forever, though it does rapidly dissipate after a moment. My best suggestion is to get it up to the green and then dash forward as fast as you can. But something I'm not sure about, because I've never tested it, is when the blocks are at very low energy, I'm talking red, they look like spikes, but I'm not sure if they damage you or kill you. Never decided to give it a shot. Either way, it's time for Photonman, who, if you have the weakness, is very easy just due to the power and width of that weapon. But without his weakness, it's pretty hard, because, God, that's a lot of damage. He likes to jump to either extreme or in the two extremes of the middle platform. If you're next to him, he's going to try and punch you. Otherwise, attacks, he thrusts his arm into air and does a little stun projectile, which will split off into 5 little volleys. And then he'll do his Mega Laser, which if it hits you, as you saw, it does a lot of damage. I think on hard mode, the beam comes out faster and the flare in the air will move towards you slightly. He's probably the hardest Robot Master without his weakness, honestly. I think Virus Man is more annoying just because I can't hit him for a lot of the fight, but he's definitely the harder one. And for beating him, we also save Fireman, my favorite to play as. For beating Photonman, we get Photon Flare, which is the usual screen nuke weapon the franchise has had for a while now. You shoot it up in the air and a lot of weaker enemies are killed in one shot. But since I perfect ran that, I also got the perfect A parts. And now it's time for me to go to the shop and buy some stuff and then head after Shockman. First off, let's go over Fireman's abilities, though. He can fire his usual fire wave attack from his boss fight forward. If you hold up and fire, he'll shoot a single flame out of his head up in the air, which is pretty good if you have something directly above you. But if you hold down and fire is where you get the most interesting thing. If you hold down and fire, he fires a downwards flame wave. But you also bounce up with it. That can also be done twice in a row in mid-air for essentially a sort of triple jump, which makes platforming as him extraordinarily fun to do. I think you can also do it infinitely in water, but don't quote me on that, because I usually don't play as him when stages with water just because it just feels long to do, you know? Either way, you might be wondering why the hell Shockman's back. His bio actually explains that. But first, this weird Metool mini-boss. Weapons will take it out very easily. It just bounces around and occasionally fires out a projectile. If you have Fuse or Boomman's weapon, which is going to be the last Robot Master of the 8 I take out, it'll take it out in one shot. Either way, Shockman was the lead robot of Monsteropolis' main hydroelectric plant and served to temporarily bridge circuits that needed repair. He's capable of conducting and producing shocks of extremely high voltage, which made him incredibly dangerous in his rogue state back in the intro stage. After his manufacturers repaired his defects, he was sent back to work, though many humans that worked alongside him became uneasy when he returned. Ever since, he has longed to pursue other lines of work or simply be scrapped since he now lacks human friends and no longer enjoys his job. That's why he's back, and wow, that's depressing. This stage is probably one of my favorites just from the design standpoint, though, because first off, I love electric gimmicks. It's just fun. But also, the gimmicks probably are the best laid out in the game. You got these little platforms that have little lightning bolts on them. If anything electric touches them, the entire platform becomes electric for a split second and does a damage hitbox. You got these little chains that will link from one platform to another that then shoot electricity into the main platform. And then you got this water section taken right out of Ep.3 and Metroid Fusion. If those things touch the water, it becomes electrified and you just take some damage. What I also like about this stage's gimmick, particularly with those lightning floors, is that they are going to eventually use them in tandem with the little electric jumping enemies that shoot electricity when they land, as well as the little hooks. This is probably my favorite design just from that design standpoint, because it really feels like the gimmick was well thought out here, and it's really cool to see. Fan games usually do, well, not usually, they often do a good job with that. I'm not going to say all the time, because every franchise has those fan games that are like, nice effort, but, you know, everyone likes to look at the good ones. I think a place where you can actually see the best examples of this are the Megaman games, which are level contests where fans submit levels, they get judged and ranked accordingly and such. There's two of them. I think the third one's coming out soonish for me. Might already be out by the time this gets uploaded, honestly. And once you get past the first third of the entries, the levels start to become really good. Not to say that the people didn't try on the first third, but they're just lesser for poor choices or otherwise. Or they just outright steal a level from Mega Man 4 in the case of that one stage of Megaman 2. I might eventually do the Megaman stuff, but it would hold me to a standard that I'm not sure if I want to commit to, if that makes sense, because those games are big. Either way, it's time for Shockman, who I think is the last really good out of the main 8 that you can get a no-hit run on. Attack-wise, he likes to bounce all over the place. When he jumps and lands, he does the electric thing on the floor like those one enemies did. He can shoot his arms out to the side, in which case he's going to shoot a lightning out of them like that. He can also shoot them directly into the sky, in which case he's going to attract lightning to himself. Every time it makes contact, the floor becomes electrified. This fight's fun to me just because I'm keeping an eye on the environment as well as him, and I just find that really cool. It's also here I remembered, oh wait, I can use weaknesses and still get a perfect run and a beat part. That would have come in handy sooner. Good job, Kyle. You did it. With that said, Shockman's a really fun boss fight, and honestly, a pretty good contender for a first fight. That would send you on a very strange weakness chain in my eyes, but hey, at least you'd get Cryptman out, by the way, by the 4th Robot Master, which I think is the absolute latest you should do it. For beating him, we get the Shock Gauntlet, which fires a piercing projectile forward, and then it boomerangs back to you, grabbing any items and encounters along the way. It also stays at your altitude, so if you jump, it'll rise with you or fall with you, respectively. And after I purchase one quick W tank because I like having resources, it's time for Fuse-Man. Now, after Mega Man 11's announcement, a new version of this game is either in progress or was released that renamed Fuse-Man to Boomman, because obviously, Fuse-Man's a thing in Mega Man 11. I'll get to that game eventually, don't worry. And that's not the first time that's happened in fan games either, because when Mega Man Unlimited was in development and called Mega Man 10 even, that game had a robot master named Nitroman, whose entire thing was nitrous and explosives, nitroglycerin and such. But Nitroman was not only a thing in Mega Man 10, but it was also in Mega Man 10. So, Mega Philex ended up renaming him to Tri-Nitroman. Why they didn't just rename this Tri-Fuse-Man, I don't know. Come on, guys, keep the joke going. With that said, what you saw there was Beat. He works very similarly to how he did in basically any of the other games he was available in. He flies around you, and the moment you shoot, he'll target something and relentlessly attack it until it's destroyed, eating up weapon energy along the way. This is one of the games where I think he's really good, though, because there's just so much in your way that having an extra little help there can go a long way. Do I think he's worth perfect running for Robot Masters? Not really, but if you want to do it, he's there, and I think he is useful. With that said, let's get Fuse-Man's bio out of the way. He guards a demolitions depot somewhere in the deserts of Arizona. Occasionally, he's used to help with actual demolition works with his powerful Phantom Fuse. Though he was programmed as a bit of a macho man, many can sense a bit of an overcompensation with his never-ending manly quotes and mentions of robot women. It's as though constantly working around explosive materials has put him on edge, though he would never admit to it. The bomb fuse on his head is purely for aesthetic appeal, but the electronic fuses in his body can be easily disrupted by high-voltage attacks. Hence, his weakness to Shock Gauntlet. And as for Elecman, while Fireman's my favorite Rock Force member to play as, Elecman's my second favorite. He can fire his usual Thunder Beam attack, which does the whole goes forward as well as above and below thing. However, unlike other versions of Elecman or Elec Beam, the projectiles that go vertically are the same size as the main horizontal shot, which means you have 3 really big area covering abilities. Otherwise, though, that's actually his only main attack. The only other thing he has to him is that he also has a Mega Man X-like wall jump. However, unlike Cutman, who goes off in a Metroid Fusion-like arc, Elecman can glide right back to the wall and even slide down it like he is Mega Man X. He's really fun to play as, just not as fun as Fireman to me. Alright, in this section we have timers going on, as you can see on some of these little things around us. We have about 1.5 minutes to get through this screen, otherwise things start happening. However, unlike your first thought, it's not instant kill. What starts happening is a bunch of random big explosions that just do about 1/5 of your health, I think. It hurts, but it's not too much to be afraid of, because the room is short enough as it is. And now it's time for Fuse-Man. Or Boom-Man, rather. He'll fire his Phantom Fuse first and then throw dynamite at you to try and bait you into running into the Phantom Fuse. If he jumps, he's going to fire the Phantom Fuse, which will just direct itself from wherever you are. He can also drop below the screen and fire 3 volleys of dynamite at you. I think on higher difficulties, he throws more or less dynamite. And that's about it, really. A surprisingly hard Robot Master to perfect run, and a very hard first choice just due to how much is going on. But not the worst fight I've ever fought. And now we get our final Rock Force member, Bomb Man. But first we get the Phantom Fuse, which is a deceptively good ability. When you fire it, you get to control where you're going even though Mega Man can't move. And whenever it makes contact, it leaves a gigantic explosion, as in the biggest I've ever seen in a Mega Man game. It's ridiculously powerful. Yo, Mega Bro, that was some righteous work back there. Bomb Man, are you okay? Feeling somewhat less than awesome, but still okay. Wasn't Justice Man with you? Yeah, dude, do you mean you haven't found him yet? No. We should get back to Dr. Light's lab immediately. Dr. Light, Justice Man is still missing. Heavens, I have dismaying news as well. The energy signatures of the Robot Masters you defeated. They're recombining across the world. What does that mean? Well, it means this. We have 4 more Robot Masters to fight a la Doc Robot in Mega Man 3. However, here's the thing. There are 8 Robot Masters you can have happen here. These 4 if you take out your last Robot Master in either of the 4 cardinal directions, or 4 more if you take out one in the corners last. This is why I left Fuseman and Shockman for last, because I have a separate save file where I'm going to take out Shockman last to fight the other 4 later on. For right now, though, we're going to go after Terrorman. Before I go over anything with him, let's go over Boomman. Boomman is also fairly similar to Megaman powered up. He throws his bombs in an arc just by pressing the B button as a standard attack. But if you hold up and fire, he'll just throw it straight up in the air. Sliding will place his bombs where you were standing, and that's about it. In terms of who's weak to him, he is the weakness of Photonman, while Electman is the weakness of Fuseman. Fireman, by the way, is the weakness of Virusman, because I think I forgot to bring that up earlier. Now, the Fusion Robot Master stages, which is what these guys are called, by the way, they tend to combine enemies and some gimmicks of the Robot Masters that they're fused from, but they also do a lot more unique on their own. Terrorman stage in particular is really cool for me, just because I love the horror aesthetic. Now, unlike the main 8 Robot Masters, these 8 also have descriptions, but they're not on the main site. Instead, people got them directly from the developer Goldwater DLS himself. Also, we have spike dodging to do here. The spikes that you have to dodge are random, but they are still instant kill if you have that selected. Thankfully, I have spike protection all the same. Although it's getting a little bit cramped in here. Stop. No, stop. Okay, we're good. Terrorman was essentially a junkyard dog. Though designed to be intimidating, he was actually quite the gentleman early in his career. Unfortunately, his appearance proved to be a bit too effective, as any intruder, both robotic and human, immediately fled from his presence, screaming. After years of the same scenario, he started to see himself as a monster, and thus began playing the part. Robots and humans who entered his vicinity were subjected to cruel mind games and near fatal encounters before being violently ejected from the junkyard. Terrorman eventually became too violent for his own good, and, after carelessly mistaking a human for a robot, ended up critically wounding said human. Public outcry eventually led to him being put down. Because the thing is with the Fusion Robot Masters, they were Robot Masters that had their IC chips scrapped and destroyed as a result of the expiration law from Mega Man 9. However, whatever's going on, their bodies were stolen before they could be scrapped, and they're just reactivated as husks, essentially. So we're fighting zombies in a way. I think the thing with this stage, or these stages, that I like compared to Doc Robot in Mega Man 3, is that the stages are not only original visually, musically, and gimmick-wise, but since I'm fighting a unique character design at the end of it all, too, it doesn't feel like it's as much of dragging out the game. With that said, there are differences that happen here. If you're fighting this set of 4 Robot Masters, you're going to have a lot more of a straightforward stage set. The other 4 have a bit more of a gimmick going on to them, you have to keep in mind, which some people might prefer, some people might not. If you like gimmick stages, try and take out a corner Robot Master last. If you don't, just fight these 4 that I'm fighting, you're probably going to have a better time. With that said, I am fighting all 8, because I want to be complete with this. Oh, like man, buddy, it's okay. Oh, buddy. But yeah, we have a ghost of a Wily machine here. I'm not sure if it's instant kill. I've never gotten hit by it. Thankfully, that exclamation point is there to warn you it's coming. I wouldn't be surprised if that was something that was added in a later update from what, because this game apparently had quite a number of updates just to make things flow better. And I'm glad that the developer held to making the game better at the end of the day, because this game came out fantastic at the current update I'm at. Though it's weird that, because I swear there was an update that made Fuseman into Boomman, but he's still Fuseman here, which is a bit confusing, but oh well. Unless I just missed an update where he said that update's not out yet, in which case, whoops. Either way, this little portion we have a gimmick where you have to take out this weird robot worm. If you try to go anywhere, you're more than likely not going to find the right direction if it even activates as the right direction. So just take out the worm and hope for the best. Here's something you don't see every day. An auto-scrolling Mega Man stage. I can only think about, what, 3 or 4 of these off the top of my head? It's admittedly always a little bit refreshing when an auto-scroller happens in a Mega Man game, fan-made or otherwise, just because it is so rare. So rare in this franchise. Also, oh hi Gamma. How are you doing? Your luck kind of busted up. I'm surprised they didn't completely disassemble it, given that that thing apparently was powerful enough to potentially conquer the world, despite being weak to dancing. Either way, we're coming up on the boss against Terrorman here. And Terrorman, the first thing I should note is that you don't get abilities from the Fusion Robot Masters. After you defeat them, you go right to the stage select or save screen. Terrorman has 3 notable attacks, one of which he only really tends to do during the last half of his health bar. He'll jump all over the place and cause spiders to fall from the ceiling that we fought throughout the stage. He can also fire 3 spikes at the ground that'll explode. I think the amount of volleys with those or the speed of them depends on the difficulty. On the last half of his health or so, he likes to pull a bit of a the one moth boss from X2 and bounce down on his web to try and hit you wherever you are. I think the speed of that depends on the difficulty, but don't quote me on that. Overall, out of this set of 4, I think he is the easiest, but since you don't get abilities, there's no real point to following my exact order here. I'm just going the order I find to be very comfortable. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 4, we're going to be taking out more of these Fusion Robot Masters. See you guys then.